Our hearts are so precious. And if we give it to everyone, they will chip, they will break, they will tear down.
Look at their life before you spill and ask for advice.
Not everyone's for you.
Hey guys!
I'm Sarah.
I'm Kaitlyn.
And we are your best friends.
Just like always. Today we are going to be doing a video responding to a comment from one of our amazing subscribers, Melinda Love. And she asked this.
Can you do a video on how you found the right friend to share things to in college that's a Christian, if that makes sense? And yes, it makes sense, because basically what she's asking is how to identify a good friend that you can share things to, that you can trust.
Before we get into it, please subscribe to our channel.
Yes.
Every subscribe that we get means so much to us.
We used to be the type to not subscribe just because we never thought about it. But now having a channel, I can't tell you how much it means when we see that somebody goes out of their way to click the subscribe button. So if you do feel like you love us, you love this channel, then press the button, because it means so much.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
It's really a beautiful balance when it comes to sharing with friends, because on the one hand, you have to guard your heart. Just because somebody shares the same faith as you doesn't actually mean that they are someone that you can open up to, especially if it's something really deep, or that it's wise to open up to, because if that were the case, we'd be sharing with everybody all the time, every time we met someone who had the same beliefs as us. But on the other hand, it's also not wise to cut yourself off and isolate yourself from everyone because you don't know who to trust. So that's moderation. It applies to everything, and it also applies to sharing, because we're not going to just open up to everybody, but you can't also not open up to nobody, which is why I love this question, because Melinda is being wise and saying, okay, who is it that I open up to?
Exactly. And with that, I think it is so important to kind of get to know yourself and what your past was, because everybody has had a different past in growing up. Some people right off the bat had a personality that was super inviting and warm, and so friendships came naturally to them. Trusting people came easy. You didn't have, let's say, bad people who a lot of the times stabbed you in the back. So there's that kind of person. Or you could be the kind of person where you always saw yourself as a quiet person, a shy person. Maybe in your mind tells you you're not a good friend, or you're not thoughtful, or people don't like you. So recognizing, first of all, where you come from is going to help us so much in discovering where we want to be wise and how we want to be wise with friendships. Recognize that to be a good friend, to receive a good friend, we kind of have to push past our personal comfort zones. So if you want to know what kind of friend to trust, it's gonna at times require knowing your past and knowing what you deserve and the kind of friend that you want to be as well, if that makes sense.
No, that totally makes sense. And that actually reminds me of the conversation that we had when we were riding on the scooter a few months ago, because Sarah and I had two different types of struggles when it came to this. For me, I was more the type who would be on the one side of really isolating myself for some reason, just the type of person that will shut down and doesn't want to share at all. And then for you, on the other side, you would share with a lot of people, and it wasn't always the wisest to be sharing with who you did.
Too many people who know all of my stuff, too many people to update.
And so for you, the solution to who do I share with was be wise with who I'm choosing. And for me, it was, I have people in my life that I can share to, choose one of them. So that's where even knowing yourself can really make the difference in how you even choose.
Yeah, exactly. And something that comes to mind I think people will appreciate is with Kaitlyn, to have good friendships, friends want to know how you're doing. And Kaitlyn, at times, I think you'd agree, you used to think maybe nobody even cares to know this about my life. Maybe nobody cares about these details. And so she wouldn't share these things, not because she didn't want to. She just always assumed people didn't care. But because I love Kaitlyn, she's my best friend, she's my sister, I want to know. It means so much to me when she decides to share a little detail, to share what's going on in her family, in a relationship.
Maybe it's something big that you're struggling with. That's why you're thinking about sharing. You're struggling with anxiety. You know you got to open up to someone. It's something big and heavy. Test out the small things first and see how they handle it. Go and talk to your friend about your day and see if observe them and test how they're going to handle these little things that you deal with them, because there are such thing as selfish people who don't, they don't listen, and you kind of spill, let's say, a little thing about your day and
they turn it right back on themselves.
Or you just feel more empty after talking to them because you feel like they didn't really listen. Does this person actually care? Like, are they actually listening? Not do they respond perfectly, do they give me perfect advice, but like,
are they good, healthy, fertile ground for you to pour out your heart? In every relationship, whether it's future husband, wife, mother, everyone, we gotta guard our hearts, because our hearts are so precious. And if we give it to everyone, they will chip, they will break, they will tear down. And so basically what you're saying is, observe and notice. The way that you'll find a good friend to share things to is you're observing if they are good, healthy, fertile ground for you to give things to for you to give deep things to. Because if they're not, they will take your heart, crumble it, and throw it aside. That's really what it feels like. Or you'll notice you feel drained, or you feel like you left feeling more toxic than before when you shared it. So those are good ways to notice or feel out a good possible friend to share things to.
Some good signs when you're testing things out and you're sharing is like, one, whatever you're sharing, like, they listen. Maybe they don't always respond in the perfect way, but they're attentive to what you're saying. And two, you got to think about what it is that you want out of somebody, because some people are just naturally more negative, pessimistic people. That's just the way that they view things. So sometimes when you open up about something, that is a way that you could actually end up feeling more drained, because
they have a pessimistic viewpoint.
So the way that they offer back to you when you're ranting about your day just make you feel worse, because you're like, oh, my life does suck. That's random to look out for too, is how literally do they handle what you're saying, and how do they look at life?
Exactly.
Because that's going to affect the way you view your problem when you spill it to them, because you're looking at it through their lens.
Genuinely, not everyone's for you. Not everybody is a good friend to share things to. I've been bitten in the butt. You shared something to somebody, and it's like they were negative, and they just turned this thing into something even worse, and I felt worse for sharing. So it's kind of freeing to know that not everybody is like a perfect friend. And some friends, you're going to train them, you're going to help. But some people, like, you don't have to be friends with everyone. You don't have to share, even if you have a lot of friends. Some of them I have picked up, like, some just can't handle certain things. Some can handle certain things.
Exactly.
Discerning the person that it is you want to share something to.
And some people are great friends. They're just maybe not going to be the people that you open up those deep things about. And that's all right, as long as we have somebody.
As long as you have somebody.
And, like, I'd say the other thing is, regardless of faith, like, they're your friend. Look at their life before you spill and ask for advice, because
so true.
It's not about they have a perfect life, they're my perfect role model, we're all humans, we all fall. But look at their life. Do you like the results of their life? Do you like the way they live their life? Do you look up to them? Are there qualities in them that are admirable to you? Because when you're spilling and asking for advice, that advice is going to shape the way that you respond. And that might be how you start acting about things, is how your friend handles it. You do have to look at their life and see, is this the kind of person I would want to be more like? Because if I'm going to open up to them more, I am going to become, in one way or another, I'm going to pick up on some of their qualities. You know what I mean?
Is there peace in their life, or are they constantly a stressed person? When something gets hard, what is their first reaction? Like, do they have joy in their life regardless of the circumstances? Even though these are, like, nice, fluffy ideas, it's still a thing. Like, you can catch the vibes. Do they have fun even when things are hard? How do they treat their mom and their dad? How do they treat their other friends? If they're in a relationship, what is their relationship made up of? Ask these things, because it's true. If you have friendships and you take their advice, I mean, you would hope that the advice they give, first of all, they take it themselves, and you would hope that they themselves are living a life that's kind of bearing awesome fruits. Because other than that, I mean.
And I think the best type of friends to spill to are the ones who don't care so much about forcing their opinions, or like don't want to fix things right away, don't want to, like, quickly just state how they feel and go off, but instead they study God's word, honestly, and they try to be in line with what God wants to say. And so they know that it's not always just about venting and what they think and how they think and, oh yeah, girl, you should totally break up with him, or, oh yeah, she's toxic. Like,
really quick to speak is something that I am aware of.
Yes, that is, thank you for saying that. That is the word. Look out for people who are more slow to speak, because that is a really good quality in a friend when it comes to spilling things inside.
Typically, people who are quick to speak, and I mean, a lot of us have been there when it's like we have a habit of just saying something right off the bat.
Perfect.
Yeah, no one's perfect. But when you are quick to speak, you're genuinely, it's the first response is what you personally think. And it's out of the heat of the moment of what's on your mind and stuff. And I think it's a really admirable and mature quality when instead of speaking every time your friend vents you, you actually like, you just say, okay, I totally understand. I need some time or anything, or I'm here like for you. And you take time to think, and maybe a friend who gets back to you the next day that they've been thinking about what you mentioned. I mean, that's really beautiful. It doesn't happen super immediately. Everything in prayer, like I think ultimately the best thing that we could do if we're wanting to know who's a good friend, if we're wanting good friends, is to pray, because God answers prayers. God answers prayers. It's not always like the immediate obvious answer. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it's like this person that's always been alongside of you, you look to your right and they actually are a healthy, fertile ground that needs work, but like they're worth it. And you, through love, through patience and stuff, you guys build a beautiful friendship. But God always answers prayers, and he also gives us his Holy Spirit to kind of like discern certain attitudes and to realize like, you know, maybe now I get it. Like, I've been sharing my crap to the wrong person. And maybe that's why I always feel bad afterwards. Maybe it hasn't been all these reasons. It's just simply like they were not the place to be sharing it to. Then ultimately realizing that nobody is perfect. I mean, nobody's perfect. Everybody comes from different families, different backgrounds or whatnot.
Communication styles.
Imperfections are everywhere to be found. And so never like saying she's just a bad friend.
She's just toxic.
Maybe she just was never trained, was never told, nobody ever told her anything. So always treating everyone with grace ultimately. You don't have to tell them your crap anymore, but we always want to see them with grace.
You really taught me this, but it's so important, if this is you right now, to train those friends and train other people for how you want them to respond, because sometimes when you're sharing, you don't actually want advice, or you just want someone to pray for you. You just want someone to listen. You mentioned like knowing yourself. Maybe there's something in the way that your parents used to respond to you that kind of triggers you.
Yes.
So you want to make sure that your friend doesn't do that. So communicating that, hey, I'm going to open up to you, but just this is what I want.
Yes.
And you taught me that.
And that takes also realizing that just because that seems scary, we got to do it anyways. Because it is not easy to be upfront. It's not easy to say, hey, the way you just responded like kind of triggered me. That's not easy. That's not keeping the peace. But what that does is it keeps the relationship real, raw, and connected. Good friendships, good relationships, it takes kind of making a mess sometimes and doing things afraid sometimes than just keeping the peace. And even though she pissed me off, I'm just going to be like, whatever, I'm not going to say anything. And then stuff builds up. So good friends can handle communication. Good friends, just give them some time. They can handle you telling them and you training them and such. So long as we're communicating in love and with patience. That's what we always do with each other. It's not easy to always mention when you were triggered or when the way they responded hurt your feelings or whatnot. It's not easy. But we gotta do it afraid sometimes.
It just, I think with that, when it comes to training, when it comes to telling our friends, like, before we confess, the most important quality then, I think, well, I won't say the most important, but I think a important quality is going to be then that the friend that you are about to spill to has open ears and listens to instruction. You communicate, it can only go better in growth from there, because they have open ears and they're ready to be a good friend for you, so long as you show them how. So that's the biggest quality, I think.
I agree with you. And the cool thing is we both have open ears, and that's why this friendship is good. So look out for friends who have open ears, who you notice don't get stingy or weird when you have something different to say. It's really good.
So yeah, that's all I got.
Okay, that's all I got for this one.
Thank you, Melinda.
Thank you, Melinda, for commenting this. We are so grateful that you asked this question. This is what we're all about. Real questions. We want to give real answers. and always really in love, and only by the grace of God, like, can we answer these kinds of questions, and can we ever have like a good, healthy life? It's just by the grace of God.
By the grace of God. So please subscribe to our channel. Once again, we are reminding you, we want to hit 600 subscribers.
Yes.
We love every single one of you that subscribes. We get so excited, and we're so grateful for you. So please subscribe to this channel.
Yes, have a great rest of your day, you guys, and we'll see you in the next video.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh.